Out of all of the Meforshim to Chumash, Ramban, perhaps more than any other Meforish, follows very strictly the idea of מעשה, אבות, סימן, לבנים. And therefore, in all of Chumash Breishis, he attempts to inculcate that into what happened to the Jewish people centuries or even millennia later. So in this week's Parsha, where the encounter with Esav is recorded for us, so we always feel that Esav is the Western world, the Christian world, the Greek world, whereas Yishmael is the Muslim world. So we don't have anything to with Yishmael, right? I mean, there's no מעשה, אבות, סימן, לבנים regarding Yishmael. And therefore, it's hard to have a foreign policy or a domestic policy regarding Yishmael because there's no clear line. But regarding Esav, Ramban and others drew a very clear line. So in this week's Parsha, Rashi quotes the famous Medrash that Yaakov Avinu prepared to deal with Esav in three different facets. He had three different plans: Ledoron, Litfila, Ulemilchama. So the Ramban says these three facets will work themselves out in Jewish history as well. So here he has a discussion. We're coming out to Chanukah. So Chanukah was milchama. Alachuas vala milchomos she'asiso lavaseinu bayamim ha'em bazman hazeh. The Chashmonoim made war against the Syrian Greeks, and therefore they pursued the option of milchama, and the milchama was successful. The Ramban here on the side, by the way, has the great problem: how come the Chashmonoim, there are no descendants from the Chashmonoim alive in the Jewish world? The Gemara says, Kol ha'omer shu mibeis Chashmonoi eino elo eved, because Herod killed out all the Chashmonoim, even his wife and his sons. So there's nobody left. So he asked the question, how could it be at Tzadikim, Oskei Sorasecha, the heroes of the Jewish people, should be doomed to being destroyed, being non-existent in the Jewish world? So he speaks about the fact that sometimes people make terrible errors, and those errors have consequences, and the consequences many times is more severe than we understood it to be, or than we can appreciate why it should be. And so he lists the complaints of the rabbis against the Chashmonoim, that they usurp for themselves the monarchy, not only the high priesthood, they were Kohanim, so they're entitled to be the Kohen Gadol, but they're not entitled to be the Melech, because the Melech should be from Shevet Yehuda, and they call themselves Malachim. And then he says that they forcibly were Megayer tens of thousands of Goyim, Edomim, because they needed them for the army. So there's an echo here too, always. So we had Hebrew-speaking soldiers in the Jewish army that were goyim. But after a while, nobody could tell the difference. And because of that, there arose Herod, who was descended from them, and who at the end was a puppet of the Romans, and helped bring about the Churban Ba'isheni. He says other things that they did, that they were marbe, they had fights amongst themselves, so they were marbe sina, etc. Anyway, but the Chashmonaim are milchoma. Tefillah, he says, that's Esther and Mordechai. And Jewish people faced destruction from the Persians. And they had no ability to withstand Haman by force. So Esther said, Leich knos es kol ha-Yehudim. And they had 3 days of prayer, and tefillah, and tshuva, and they were saved. So that is the concept of tefillah, how tefillah is an antidote to Esav, to destruction, that the Jewish people can survive sometimes because of tefillah. We would say throughout the Golas, tefillah was our only weapon. It was not possible to stand against the Christian world with force, with milchama, and even Lidoron, you couldn't buy them off enough, no matter what you tried. So therefore, the only resort that we had was the tefillah, and that's how the Jewish people survived. Then he says Doron. So how do we think Doron is bribing Esav, giving him gifts? And what are the gifts? Money, sheep, etc. So the Ramban says that refers to the Messianic era, to the time when Doron, the non-Jewish world, will realize the gifts that the Jewish people have provided for the world. There'll be an appreciation for what the Jewish people contributed. And because of that, therefore, they will no longer attempt to destroy us, but that their attitude towards us will be reversed. Now, this Ramban is based on Halacha in the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim. The Ramban doesn't quote it, because in Hilchos Malachim, when the Rambam discusses Yemos HaMashiach, this is how he discusses it. He doesn't discuss it in a miraculous vein. He doesn't say all the things that traditionally have become popular. In fact, he denies that Tchias HaMeisim will occur then. He said Tchias HaMeisim is separate from Mashiach, has nothing to do with it. And he says the Jewish people aren't going to rule all over the world. And he doesn't talk about getting even with the enemies of the Jewish people. But he said the Melech HaMashiach, the time of the Mashiach, will be that the Jewish people will be appreciated in the world. And that's what we say in davening, Yakiru v'yedu kol yoshei sevel, to be able to see it. And that's what the Navi says, B'shuvi yashvuseichem le'inechem. So it'll be le'inei kol hagoyim, and then that's the bracha. So he says that's the Doron. So that refers to Messianic times. That the Messianic times, there will not be the necessity for any sort of milchama. So he says that all the milchamas will precede that time. But when the time comes, so then there's no necessity for milchama, And he said that just like by Yam Suf, that the Ribono Shalom told Moshe, now's not a time to pray anymore. The die is cast already. So now's not a time to pray. That's why it says that the Messianic times, Osid, the tefillas will become this batel, the mitzvahs will become this batel. It's very hard for us to understand what that means. But apparently all of that is not necessary anymore. And what will be present, so then the Doron will be present. That the world will appreciate us. Will have a different attitude towards us. Once that happens, so then you will have a period of peace, you have a period of harmony, a period of cooperation and working together. That's what the Navi said, Lo yisa goy al goy cherev, lo yilmdu od milchoma. That won't be necessary anymore. So we're not there yet, but we would like to be there. And many times what a person would like to be somehow happens in an unexpected way. And we should appreciate that as well. So that would be the interpretation here of Ledor and L'Tfilah L'Milchama, how it plays itself out in Jewish life, in Jewish history, and in events that we are all familiar with. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashia, Omer Rasa HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Ish Yisrael, V'fichach Chirba Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar, Adonai Chafetz Tzman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.